What's up everyone, and welcome to our first ever virtual cooking class with Teamwork Inglewood Food as Medicine program. My name is Jillian Quainoo and I'm a dietitian, and I will be teaching today's class. Now, for those of you who have been a part of this class before, y'all know what we do. We talk, we have a good time, and we share about healthy recipes that are simple and easy. But if you happen to not be a participant of the Food as Medicine program and you happen to stumble across this video, feel free to check out Teamwork Inglewood in the description box if you want to learn more about their Food as Medicine program. Now today we're going to be making 3 simple, healthy breakfast recipes. Now these recipes are great if you have diabetes, if you have heart disease, or if you're just looking for some general healthy recipes. They don't really require any cooking, well, except for one part, but for the most part it's not really any cooking. And there's something that you can make really quick on the go. You can even make them ahead of time as well. So I hope that you enjoy the recipes. Now the first one we're going to make is overnight oats, okay? The second one we're going to make is avocado toast, and then we're also going to make a Greek yogurt parfait. Now for those of you who may have allergies, or maybe if you're lactose intolerant and you're like, okay, but I can't do Greek yogurt, I'm going to share some other options in the description box if you, like I said, are dairy free, if you have other allergies, because now there's actually some great dairy-free options for yogurt if that's something that you need. But the great thing about yogurt is if you are lactose intolerant, it's usually easier to digest. I'm lactose intolerant and I can handle it, but you decide what you want to do. So let's get started. And I will be looking at my notes on my computer even though you can't see it. I will be doing that throughout this video, but I can't wait to try all this delicious food with y'all, and let me know what you think after you try it. Feel free to let me know in the comments. Alright, so we added our 1/4 cup of oats, and now we're going to add some of our other ingredients as well. So we're going to add the wet ingredients. So I'm going to add some Greek yogurt. And in the recipe it tells you that you can add 2/3 of a cup, but for those who have gone through the Food as Medicine program, or maybe you've done a cooking class with me before, y'all know I don't measure, okay? So we just eyeball this. And honestly, the reason why I don't measure is because I just feel like the creativity comes alive when you just kind of eyeball it. Now, if you are just learning how to cook, that might not be something you want to do, and that's fine too, okay? I'm not telling you have to do it that way. That's just the way I like to do it, but that's why I also have the recipe card for you. So we added our Greek yogurt, and I'm going to add the milk. Now this is the milk that I'm using, okay? It's called Ripple pea milk. It is the kids version. It has some DHA, it has 8 grams of protein, it has prebiotics. It's great. I actually give this milk to my kids, but I'm not telling you to use this. Feel free to use 2% milk, whatever milk that you have at home. I like this milk because it has about the same amount of protein as, let's say, 2% cow's milk, and I am lactose intolerant, and milk is the one thing that I can't do. My kids can't do it either. But use whatever milk you want. But this is a great plant-based option if you are looking for one. I'm gonna say though, it ain't cheap. It's not cheap. It's not cheap, but it is great. Okay. So I'm gonna add some of this to the bowl. Let me let y'all see that. Okay, that's what we have so far. So we're gonna add our milk. Okay. Now next thing we're going to add is our chia seeds, and like I said, starting out, if you want to start out small and you don't want to add the whole 2 tablespoons, that's fine. And the recipe card, it's suggesting for you to add 2 tablespoons to overnight oats that serves 2 people. So if you were doing this for 1 person, that would be about 1 tablespoon. So like I said, just feel free to kind of test it out, because I know oats are fibrous food as well, and I'm not trying to get y'all run into the bathroom, but I'll say overall it's not gonna really mess with you. Right, so as you can see, this is the consistency of the oats. And I also want to say, if you happen to not have any milk at home, you can also use water and just add a little bit more Greek yogurt to make sure you're still getting that protein in it as well. But this is a decent consistency. If you want it to be a little bit more creamier, you can even add a little bit more liquid as well, because the thing about chia seeds too is that they soak up liquid. So think of them kind of like tapioca. That's what they do with liquid, okay? But we're going to put this in the refrigerator and let it sit overnight, and then you will see what it looks like once it's done. All right, so I prepared another bowl in advance, and this is what it looks like after sitting overnight for about 7 hours, okay? So as you can see, it's thickened up. Look at that. Look at that. You see how it's thickened up? And that is from the chia seeds and also just from the oats soaking up the liquid. So we're going to mix this around. If you're looking at this right now and you're like, I don't know about that, Jill. I don't know if I want to eat that, okay? I want you to try it first, because I'm telling you, y'all, I am a person who I grew up eating oatmeal, and I got to a point where in my adulthood where I did not really want to eat oatmeal anymore. But ever since I've been trying overnight oats, it's actually been really, really good, okay? So we're going to add all of our toppings now to this, and I'm going to let you see what that looks like. All right, so this is our finished recipe for overnight oats. As you can see, I've added some strawberries, some blueberries, and some walnuts. And this prepared bowl actually is about 2 servings. So this is something that you could split with somebody else, but I will encourage you to just try it out, y'all. Just try it out. In fact, if you have been a part of any of my cooking classes and you've tasted any of my food, just comment down below and share what your favorite recipe has been. Now, lastly, I will say, and I'll say again, remember with the chia seeds, do it slow. Don't go heavy, don't go crazy. In this particular bowl that I made, I added a decent amount of chia seeds, but you don't have to add a lot. And lastly, I'll also want to warn you to not eat chia seeds dry. They're definitely something that are supposed to be soaked in a liquid, because you can have some GI complications, just, some bloated issues and upset stomach and gas and all that if you don't soak them. So this is our overnight oats. Now it's time for our next recipe. All right, so now we're going to make our avocado toast. So I have 2 slices of toasted bread. If this is not toasted enough for you, then you can toast it until it's charred, whatever you want to do. But this is how I like my toast, okay? So we have our toasted bread, and we are going to now add some slices of our avocados. Now for the avocados, these are ripe, by the way. If you prefer them to be fully mashed in a bowl first before you put them onto your toast, feel free to do that. It's whatever you want to do. Like I said, that's why it's more about being creative than about just following something to the T. If you really want to learn how to cook, that's how you got to do it, okay? But it's okay to start out first by just, looking at recipes and just kind of using them as a guide. Honestly, whenever I look at recipes, that's what I do anyway. I just use them as guides. I don't follow them to the T, but I've also been cooking now for over 10 years, so just do whatever works for you. Okay, so we have our avocados, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to mash the avocados onto the bread. Let me show y'all what I got so far, as you can see. Okay, so I added about 3 slices of avocado on there. So I know some people might be like, okay, but I thought I can't eat that much avocado. I thought I had to just eat a little bit. So I'm going to ask you the question then. When you go to a restaurant, okay, and they give you guacamole, what are you doing? Are you like feeling bad and like, oh, I can't eat that much? Or maybe you just decide to eat the whole bowl and then afterwards you feel guilty. What I found is that it's better to enjoy your food in moderation rather than trying to control it by decreasing the amount to a point where it becomes unsustainable for you. Now, avocado is high in healthy fats, and honestly, I look at it this way. If you are eating a diet that has plants in it, whole grains, it's okay if you like meat, you're not going crazy on the sweets, you're trying to manage your sodium intake, and you're finding a way to stay active, it's all right if you eat some avocado. In fact, I would encourage you to think of it this way, because that can also help to prevent something that we'll talk about in this class, which is living from a perspective of diet culture. And diet culture wants you to be afraid of food. And I want you to learn how to enjoy your food. So that's why we're doing it this way, Okay, so we have our mashed avocado, as you can see. There you go. And now I'm gonna add some seasoning. So like I said, if y'all know me, y'all already know how I season, okay? We ain't measuring, and we're definitely using some good seasoning. So we're gonna be using this Tony Shashir, I believe that's how you say it. If I said it incorrectly, please let me know in the comments. With this no salt Creole seasoning. This is my favorite Creole seasoning because of the fact that it's no salt and it has a good amount of flavor. Now, if you look at the ingredients, the first ingredient is brown sugar, and if you're diabetic and you're concerned, let's look at this. So, a quarter of a teaspoon has 0 grams of sugar. So, even though the first ingredient is brown sugar, it still is pretty decent with its sugar content. Is nothing crazy. So, it's still good to use. So we're gonna just sprinkle some of this onto our avocado toast. Okay. I don't know if y'all saw that I accidentally sprinkled a little too much on the first, but it's still gonna work out, okay? Can't ever add too much Creole seasoning. I'm gonna add a little bit of garlic powder. Okay. I'm gonna add some smoked paprika. I believe I have some of that. Let's go check. Okay, we have just a little bit left. If you were in the first cohort for this class, you knew that I bought a huge container of it for my cooking demonstrations. Unfortunately, I left that in my other office, so I don't have it with me, so we're just gonna use this tiny little jar today, but it's enough to get us by, okay? Add that smoked paprika to it. And then lastly, we're gonna sprinkle a little bit of black pepper on our avocado toast as well. So like I said, avocados have healthy fats like omega-3s, which is great, but also because it has that fat content, it will also help to ensure that you get full when you eat breakfast, because nobody likes to eat and then they're still hungry. In fact, that's what leads to us chomping on whatever snack that we see, maybe at work, maybe at the closest fast food restaurant, whatever it may be. So finding food that gives us that satisfaction, it can really, really be helpful. Okay, so we have our seasoned, let me show you, I'll just show it to you this way. We have our seasoned, our seasoned avocado toast. And now what I'm gonna add is some Swiss cheese. So I'm gonna add some sliced Swiss cheese to this. And I prefer sliced cheese over shredded cheese because the shredded cheese does have, some extra ingredients that help to prevent the clumping of the cheese, but I'm not a huge fan of those extra ingredients. So the slices are great. And these are the thinly sliced pieces of Swiss cheese. Now, Swiss cheese is also great too because if you're lactose intolerant, it has a little bit less lactose than some other cheeses, so it's easier to tolerate for those who are lactose intolerant. And it's also a cheese that is not as high in sodium, which is also great. So Swiss cheese is one. Also, fresh mozzarella is another one that are usually pretty low in sodium content, okay? So just looking at this, it has one slice has 40 milligrams of sodium, which is equivalent to about 2% of your daily value, according to the nutrition facts. Now, if you are someone who is on a diet that is specific for heart disease, that number is definitely lower for how much that you need, but overall it's still a decent cheese that you can use no matter if you have heart disease or if you're just looking for something for overall general health and well-being. All right, so I already cooked my scrambled eggs, and I'm going to add them to my toast. If you're not a fan of eggs, you don't have to use eggs. That's where that creativity comes in. Okay? You do not have to use eggs, but eggs help to just increase the protein content. So I used 2 eggs for this recipe, 2 eggs for 1 slice of the avocado toast. So I'll show you one with the cheese and without the eggs, and then one with the cheese and the eggs. And I'm telling y'all, okay, when you try this, you're gonna want to eat it all the time because it's so good. You can even sprinkle some garnish on top, like some parsley would be great, especially with that Creole seasoning. can add fresh herbs, you can add some tomatoes, you can add any of those things to that. And along with this recipe, this would be something great that you could have with fruit. So let's say you did 1 slice of the avocado toast, okay? Then you could do a small cup of fruit along with that, and then a cup of milk. That's a decent breakfast that you could eat in the morning, okay? If you're like, but I really want 2 pieces of avocado toast, okay? If you want 2 pieces of avocado toast, then I just want you to think about if you're going to eat anything else with that meal, okay? And also I want you to look at the bread that you're using as well. Now this particular bread that I'm using, it's called Dave's Killer Bread. I'm not telling you that this is the bread that you have to eat, but it is a bread that has 21 whole grains and seeds. It's a whole grain bread. But let's look at the sodium content, okay? It has 8% of your daily sodium from 1 slice. So like I said, I'm not necessarily recommending this bread, but I do want you to look at the sodium content in bread, especially if you are someone who has high blood pressure, because a lot of breads have high sodium. So just something to watch out for, okay, is how much bread you're consuming, especially in one meal. So to answer your question, can you do 2 slices? Yeah, like I said, I want you to be free in the way that you eat, and I don't want you to be afraid of food. I just want you to think about, how can I balance this out? So if you decide to do 2 slices of the avocado toast, just ensure that you're not doing that with bacon, okay? And then for lunch you're eating a hamburger, and then for dinner you don't eat anything, okay? Let's think about how can we do it in a way that can help you to still enjoy the foods that you like and eat the plants with it, like we've talked about before, and ensure that it's something that is quick and easy. So if you want to do your 2 pieces of toast, eat it with, you can try with like some cucumbers, something that doesn't require any cooking, something that is still quick that you could take on the go, okay? There's something to think about. But I want you to check whatever bread you're using. I want you to see how many grams of carbohydrate are in it. I didn't mention that already. And also the sodium content. So like for this bread, let's see. For this bread, this has 22 grams of carbohydrates per slice. So I do know that this particular brand, they also sell bread in the thinner slices, and the thin slice has 14 grams of carbohydrate per slice, which is equivalent to about 1 serving of carbohydrates. So the thinner slices might be a little bit better, and I'm not sure about the sodium content, but the sodium content might be a little less too, because they have thinner slices. So that's the other thing I would suggest as well if you decide to go that route. But let's just stick with the 1 slice of avocado toast, and we're going to do that with a cup of fruit, and we can do that as well with some milk. All right, and now we're going to go to our next portion of this cooking video, which is our Greek yogurt parfait, which I'm so excited for. All right, so for our last recipe of today, we are going to be making our Greek yogurt parfait, and this is one of my favorites because I gotta say, y'all, it is the quickest one. You don't have to put anything in the fridge overnight. You don't have to make any scrambled eggs. You don't have to mash anything. It is literally my favorite. I love it. So we've already talked about Greek yogurt. We've talked about the benefits, the fact that it's a high protein option for meals. We've talked about the fact that it's lower in carbs. In fact, I don't know if I clarified, it's lower in carbs than regular yogurt. Regular yogurt being non-Greek yogurt, okay? Non-Greek yogurt has a little bit more carbohydrates per serving in comparison to Greek yogurt. So that's why I love it so much, especially if you are diabetic. And it's just awesome. It's great. So we have our Greek yogurt in our bowl. And now we're gonna add some fruit to it, y'all. I told y'all this is easy, okay? So we have some strawberries here. I'm gonna add some strawberries. Now I love strawberries because they just have that rich, slightly tangy, sweet taste that I think is just literally the best thing ever for breakfast time. So I have added my strawberries. I've added a little bit of blueberries as well, and blueberries are also great. They're high in antioxidants. Both strawberries and blueberries are a good source of fiber. They're just a great option. Now I will say too that I've been using plain Greek yogurt for all these recipes, and I like plain because now it's more versatile. So I not only use the Greek yogurt for things like for breakfast options, but I also use it as a sour cream substitute, which is great because it has more protein than your typical sour cream product. So it's great, and it tastes the exact same as sour cream, y'all. I'm telling you. So many people have thanked me for this tip. Use Greek yogurt, plain Greek yogurt for sour cream. Now, if you're worried, like, okay, Jill, so you tell me that you're going to eat some plain Greek yogurt with no flavor. No, honey. We're going to use some honey, okay? We're using some honey. So we're going to drizzle some honey over our Greek yogurt parfait. And I would say I added maybe like a tablespoon of honey. Nothing crazy. And now I'm going to also add some dark chocolate. Okay. Now, dark chocolate is great because it has magnesium, which can help you to stay calm. It can help you to have just healthy hormonal health. It's really great. In fact, that's why many women during their cycle crave chocolate. It's because it has magnesium. Your body's looking for that magnesium. So this is dark chocolate, if I didn't say that already. And I tried to find a good source of chocolate too, because I'm sure you might have heard on the news, they go back and forth. They say chocolate is good for you, then they say it's bad for you because it has lead in it. They say it's good for you, but then they talk about how bad it is for this reason and that reason. So I try to find a chocolate that is organic and that is fair trade. However, if you look through the book that I had created for you all, the student guide, I have mentioned the fact that I know that quality food products are not cheap and they're not accessible to the average American. So I am in no way saying you need to go to your boutique grocery store and find fair trade, organic, whole chocolate where you can see the video of how they took it from the cacao farm. No, I'm not telling you to do that, but I am just informing you of how I am going about looking for products specifically as a dietitian, because I want to be ethical and I want to ensure that I'm sharing the story of what sustainable food looks like around the world. So that's why I like to get fair trade, but once again, do what works for you. Okay, so this is a dark chocolate product that is not high in sugar, which is great. It has a little bit, but nothing crazy, okay? So we have our Greek yogurt, our honey, our strawberries, our blueberries, and I'm gonna add some walnuts. I'm gonna add some walnuts, and like I've said before, sunflower seeds are also a great alternative because they're a little cheaper than some of your other nuts and seeds that you may find. But today we're gonna use walnuts. And they also are a good source of healthy fats as well. Okay, so last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to top it off with a little bit of some cacao powder, okay? I love this because this also provides me with some more of that good quality magnesium, and there's no sugar in it, okay? In fact, if you look at it, 1 tablespoon is equivalent to 2 grams of protein too. So it gives you just a little bit of extra protein. You don't have to do this if you don't want to, but you're more than welcome. I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit. It's not even going to equal a tablespoon, just a little bit, just for fun, okay? And we are done with our parfait. And listen, you will enjoy this so much. Like I said, the Greek yogurt is a lower carbohydrate option. You added some extra carbs, especially for those who are diabetic. With the fruit is great too because it's a great source of fiber, which helps with heart health. The Greek yogurt is great because it has a good amount of protein. Awesome. We have our walnuts, which give us healthy fats and also some extra protein. We added that honey. Like I said, honey is great because it's not just a sweetener, but it helps with inflammation. It helps with your immune system. It's just great overall. And look, I literally did it right in front of you all, and it took me, what, like 2 minutes? Such a great option. I'll let you all see it in a second.